Let me ask you about MCA packaging a television show. Explain for those people who might not have heard of the term, what is packaging?
Packaging is putting the writer, producer, director, musician, cast together, and you representing all of them. You don't have to represent them all because if you represent the star, you represent the package. Because it's his show. He's the one that signs everybody.
And he owns the show.
He owns the show, 100%. All the other different, you have to know your people in the industry, and you have to have a guy like Sonny Werman who could find a buyer and what he wanted. And Sonny would call me and say, I've got the Coca-Cola. They want to buy a new show. And in those days, the singers were a big, popular headliner. And then you'd put the rest of the show together. And we had a great lineup of writers, producers, directors, so that if you bought a show from us, whomever you selected as a star, you know he'd be protected by the creative people we put with him. That was our advantage. And we'd make a pilot. We'd do whatever we had to do to sell the show. An interesting story, which is Yorkin and Lear were writers that I represented.
Bud Yorkin and Norman Lear.
Right. And Paramount didn't have a television department. So I understand that Reuben, what was his first name? He was coming out from New York. He was in charge of Paramount. And he was interested in the deal we proposed. Bud Yorkin and Norman Lear to write 2 pilots for them. They would film the pilots, and then they'd try to sell them. And if the 2 pilots weren't sold, Yorkin and Lear had the option of selecting a play from Broadway that had at least 1,500 performances and asking Paramount to buy it from Motion Pictures, which they would then cast subject to Paramount's approval. And Paramount would release as a motion picture. The 2 pilots were made and they weren't sold. And so we exercised the right to buy a picture, and it was Come Blow Your Horn. What was the name? What was on Broadway?
It was Neil Simon's play.
And Neil Simon play. Was it Come Blow Your Horn on Broadway
Yes.
too? Yeah. So the boys bought the rights, and they cast Frank Sinatra and Edward G. Robinson in it, and it was a movie. It was a big hit. And that was their start in motion pictures.